What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Welcome to Beyond The9450. Obviously, you see we have a special guest today. It's usually just me and Chanteé, talking business of sports. But today we have a very special guest. We have Paulina Paris here, guard from Arizona University, chopping it up with us today. How you doing today, Paulina?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
We're doing excellent.
Good.
We're really just gonna kind of get right into it. We're gonna talk about Paulina's kind of background. How did she start in basketball? How did she get into it? And then kind of talk about recruiting, your high school years, and then getting into college, and then hopping into kind of like some NIL stuff. We've seen you, doing some making some major moves on that. So just to kind of begin, can you please just talk about your pops and your father's inspiration on you and how you played basketball? I know your dad was a professional basketball player in Puerto Rico at one point. Can you just talk about his influence and how he's been an inspiration to you?
I wouldn't be where I am right now if it weren't for him. I bet you remember the days where we were up in Goshen in the gym every day.
Yes.
I used to live in Puerto Rico. So when he was playing professionally out there, I used to watch him growing up. And seeing that, I knew that I wanted to be a basketball player when I grew up. So obviously when I got to the age of like 6 or 7, we started working together. And up until I left for college, we worked together that whole time. And without him, I wouldn't be in the shoes that I am in today. Even coming home from college, still work out with him. And he's had a big influence on my life, and I couldn't thank him enough for that.
Right. So besides your father, do you have any other like trainers that kind of like train you?
Like here and there, I'll go train with somebody, like maybe once or twice, but consistently, no. Weights, I would go to daily down at the shore because I never really did weights with my father. But other than that, basketball-wise, no.
Right. Okay. Excellent. So you said you started at 6, 7. Like, when did you really know that you wanted to take basketball seriously, or like when did you see that you had potential?
Probably like 5th or 6th grade, 5th, 6th, 7th. He coached me in a program called the Rockland Royals, where I used to play with my sister Vanessa. And starting there, I think, is when we both realized that if I kept working, I would have a future in the sport. And obviously, I'm here where I am now, so I'm very thankful for that.
Right. So you're from New York, from Rockland County. They say New York City is known for producing, tough guards, but what do you have to say about that? Because I feel like you're just as great and just as tough, just as crafty as any guard coming out of New York City. So how do you feel about the upstate New York and that pool of talent?
Obviously the city does produce good guards on both the men's and the women's side. I don't really consider myself a New York City guard, though. I think
Okay.
I've done a really good job of branding myself from the 845. So like New York, yeah. New York City, probably not. But I think upstate guards, there's not a lot of people that come out of the 845 and make a name for themselves. So, it's been pretty cool. I've always wanted to make the 845 like a brand thing, so I'm hoping that I can do that pretty soon.
Yeah.
But no, I still do think that New York produces the best guards, and I think a lot of people will say that Jersey does, but I don't think I'll ever agree with that.
Okay, I like that. I think.
I was wondering.
Go ahead.
No, because I definitely heard in a previous interview you said New Jersey had better guards than New York, and the competition was different. So I wanted you to dive a little bit deeper into that as to why you say that.
I think at that time I was at a New Jersey high school, so I kind of had to say it. But no, it's New York. It definitely is.
Love that. Okay.
For sure. And just kind of like moving along, I know your recruiting kind of
it was a lot.
It was a unique recruiting experience for you because obviously it happened during the thick of the pandemic, essentially, right? So
Yeah.
can you just talk about that experience that you had and like how you ended up at UNC, and then just walk us through that.
Yeah, so I think it was my junior year of high school. I think I was ranked in like the 40, 45s on ESPN, and it was COVID. So we weren't allowed to take officials, unofficials. So up to that point, I hadn't taken a visit. I ended up, a lot of people don't know this, which is really weird. I ended up committing to NC State for about a day, and then realized that it wasn't a good fit for me. So then I ended up committing to Penn State, in which I thought I found my home for the next 4 years. And then obviously the summer happened leading up to my senior year. I had a great summer. COVID was starting to dial down. So I ended up decommitting from Penn State, and I ended up taking my 4 officials to UNC, Indiana, Southern Cal, and Penn State. During that time of the summer, I had a really good summer, and I jumped from like the 45s to 27 in the ESPN rankings, and I ended up garnishing a bigger name for myself going into my senior year of high school. Ended up going on all my visits, and then at the time committed to UNC because I thought it was going to be my home for the next 4 years.
Excellent. Go ahead, Roxanne.
What I wanted to know was, because we're talking about the pandemic, and obviously, getting into school was a lot different in comparison to what it was in the past because of COVID. So I wanted to know, like, how your transition was from high school into college, especially, keeping in mind the whole COVID thing. Like, did that play a role, like, in affecting you in any type of way? Because the regular experience wasn't regular anymore for student athletes.
I would think mine was pretty regular because I had my whole senior year to like cope from COVID. So I was able to go through my whole senior year. I was able to have things that other schools didn't have. I played a full senior year. Even during COVID, I played half of a junior year. So I played about 20 games in Jersey. So going into college, it was pretty normal. I mean, we had practices, football games were still going on. School was still in person. So I didn't have to do any online courses going in. So I think my senior year of high school was more like the year to transition, and it wasn't hard at all.
Excellent. Have you had any adversity transitioning from high school to college?
I mean, yeah. My freshman year wasn't the easiest. I went from being the number 1 option on my high school to being like first, second player off the bench my freshman year at UNC. Obviously, my sophomore year didn't go as planned at all.
Right.
And then obviously, like high school, never had any injuries that kept me out for any games. Whereas my sophomore year, I ended up having to have surgery on my knee, which was something really new to me.
Yeah, so like I tore my meniscus twice in college, similar to you. First real injury kind of ever had. So can you just talk about like, because I feel like for me, I had to go through some like mental hurdles at the time. Mental health wasn't really kind of talked about. It was still kind of kept on the taboo. So can you just talk about like how did you keep yourself grounded during this time? How did you keep yourself inspired during this time? Just can you talk about that process for you?
Yeah, so that kind of goes back to my freshman year at UNC. I met a family at UNC, the Hodgsons, and what they did was I also had a teammate, Eva Hodgson, not related to the family, but they introduced me to like church, God, and like Bible worships and stuff. And that changed my life and my years at UNC because my years at UNC were pretty hard for the most part because I felt like I needed a family, and I found my family through church and through God. And I would say my sophomore year, when I got hurt, I ended up going to Bible study every Wednesday with Eva over the phone. And then I would always go to church Sunday with the family.
Excellent.
And obviously that injury was something that I've never gone through. So it was new to me. And I obviously wasn't playing basketball at the time. So I didn't have basketball to like shut out any outside noises or even the inside noises in my head. So at the time, yeah, my mental was pretty bad. I was sitting in my apartment alone most of the days, but found a lot of help through God. I really did. And to this day, like I went back to UNC the other day and I returned to Grace Church, which is where I went every Sunday, and it was amazing to be back there.
Excellent. I love that.
I love that.
For sure. So yeah, let's talk about your transition from North Carolina to Arizona.
Yeah.
So obviously, you're from the East Coast, and Arizona is on the West Coast. So can you talk to us about that change from the East Coast to the West Coast, and kind of what motivated you to make the decision to get to Arizona?
I'd say the biggest thing was I needed a program that believed in me. So, and I also needed a program that would develop me to being a guard in the draft in 2 years. And I didn't see that happening at UNC after this past season. So it was obviously a really tough decision because I am from New York, and the trip all the way to Arizona takes a day and a half by car and a 6-hour plane ride. Time difference is like 3 hours. So it's definitely something new. But it was a sacrifice that I was willing to make and my family was willing to make as long as my dreams would be able to be attained in 2 years.
How was your experience with just the portal? So when Brittany and I played, there was no transfer portal. Like if we wanted to transfer, we had to sit out a year. And there's been a lot of just talks and conversations and then changes with rules and things of that nature. So I wanted to know, like behind the scenes, was it difficult, like reaching out to schools to make those connections to secure your spot at Arizona?
So Arizona was actually the first school to reach out to me as soon as I entered the portal. I got a call from Adia, and she basically just said, "You're the guard we need. Let us set up a Zoom so we could tell you more." So I ended up getting a couple calls those days, that first day actually, and I took them because I wasn't going to say no to any option that I had. I think Arizona was my first Zoom that I went on with my dad and myself, and the Zoom was probably 2.5 hours, in which they laid out the whole foundation of how they saw me in the program. And a day after, I had committed. Hadn't visited the school, hadn't gone to Arizona, but coming into the portal, coming out of the portal, I could tell she wasn't lying because she had no reason to lie to me. I'm just a guard in the portal, and I just found it being a perfect fit, and then ended up taking my official, I think 2 or 3 weeks later, and then I just fell in love with the school, fell in love with the vision they had for me. So no, I'm pretty excited for this upcoming season.
Yeah. Talking about the upcoming season, like what are some of the things that you've been working on during the off season? Obviously, we know you're recovering and from the injury and getting back strong and healthy, but like what are you specifically working on to, get ready?
So I would say from the time that I left UNC, which was like, I want to say May, like mid-May, came home, and I wasn't cleared by UNC yet because I had left. As soon as I entered the portal, I kind of left the area and wasn't fully cleared. So I came home, obviously with my dad. He's been through a couple knee injuries, so he knew what to do. So just getting back before I left for Arizona. So I was really just working on like getting my knee comfortable with certain situations. So I would go to the gym, shoot with him. I never played live when I was home. So until I got to Arizona, I hadn't played live from like January to June. Moved into Arizona, met with the doctor who cleared me. So I ended up going into practices for the first week. Obviously, I didn't play live. They put me back into it slowly. And then I think the second week there, I started playing 1-on-1s, 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s. Haven't gotten to 5s yet because we haven't played 5s as a team. But just working on my confidence with my knee, it took a couple months because it was something I wasn't used to. Other than that, everything I can just to have a great year, really.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you said this before, like you see yourself as a 3-level scorer. Is that still true?
Yeah.
Are we gonna see that this year?
Yeah, I've been working on my mid-range a lot this offseason too. Obviously, I think you've seen me play, so I mean, I can shoot from the outside and get to the basket, but that mid-range was something that I've been needing to add to my game. And I think these past summer workouts have really shown that I've worked on it a lot, so I'm excited to show everybody.
Right. And I also feel like you're too, like, one of the upperclassmen on the team. Like,
yeah, it's weird because I've always been the underclassman, but
right.
yeah.
So how do you feel like that in that role? Because I feel like you're gonna take a leadership role because people, you probably have like some of the most experience on the team, like playing at the collegiate level. So how do you feel you will fill that role as the leader on the team this year?
I mean, that's all that I've ever wanted. So I'm really excited to step into those shoes. Obviously, this program and these girls, they've been amazing so far. They've welcomed me with open arms. The coaches have been great. And I think they see me being in that position too. So it's something that I'm excited for. And I'm really happy to have coaches that believe in me and want for me to step into that role this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you just also too, like, talk about the style of play, like the different style of play, like you're about to play?
I think the biggest difference is the defense. So at UNC, we would play like a half court gap defense. And personally, I was not a fan of it because I don't know. I would rather just, guard my own and just be responsible for my own. I feel like gap defense was kind of like a help the helper. And sometimes it would be pretty confusing. But now at Arizona, it's 94 full deny. So, I mean, you got to be in shape. So obviously, another thing that's been different is like the weight training we have at Arizona. It's a lot different because they're trying to prepare us for playing 35 minutes a game, 94 feet. So, I mean, yeah, their style of play is pretty different. But I'm excited for it because I've watched their film and their defense is like next level. So I'm excited to be a part of that.
Excellent. And lastly, before we kind of roll into NIL, like what are your expectations for the season? Both personally and for the team. I mean, this is y'all in a stacked conference.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about that. You're leaving the ACC. You're coming into the Big 12. Y'all got some heavy hitters there. Just what are some of the expectations for you personally? And then also, what expectations do you have for the team?
Personally, I would say these last 2 years, my name has gone away. What I did in high school is over. And I feel like this is the year to put my name back on the map, the year for people to see that my talent was hidden these past 2 years and that I can be one of the top draft picks coming up in the next 2 years. So just putting my name back out there and just having a great season overall. And I would say team-wise, I think we have a pretty talented team. I mean, we have a great backcourt. Playing with Jada has been great so far. And then obviously the guards on our team, pretty stacked. I mean, Skylar, she's great, gets to the basket great. And then I think our bigs, we have a lot of talent on this team. And I think that a lot of people don't see it yet because they think we're young. But overall, our team has a good amount of experience. So I think high expectations going into the season. Hopefully, Big 12 championship. Obviously, I've always wanted to get one of those in the ACC. So aiming for that. And then obviously a long run in the tournament.
Nice. Moving along to NIL. So over the past couple of years, we have seen how instrumental NIL has been for like student athletes and their, progression into the business of sports. So can you just talk to what has like NIL meant to you personally, and kind of how has it motivated you to learn more about business?
I mean, when that came out, I think that changed the whole perspective on sports. Being able to create a brand for yourself and being able to bring in money for yourself just through your name and what you've done in your sport, I think is amazing. I think personally, I've done a great job, and my father's done a great job helping me promote my name, promote my brand. And these past 2 years, I mean, I've made a good amount of money just from my own name, which is, I think, is amazing, and is something that changed my college because, I mean, I know back then it wasn't easy to make money as a college athlete, and now, I mean, I bought a car, done some pretty big things, so it's really exciting.
Excellent. And can you also just speak, because we're constantly on here talking to or trying to get student athletes to understand how pivotal social media is for NIL. You know, across 2 platforms, you have over 100,000 followers, right? Can you talk about that? Like how basically your visibility in social media has skyrocketed since you've been in college?
I think coming out of high school, I had maybe like 4,000 followers on Instagram, and like you said, I think I'm at like 100,000 now. I think obviously I've done some brand deals that have been pretty helpful. I mean, I've worked with Wilson, Champ Sports. I've done collabs with a lot of good programs and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I started taking my social media a little bit more seriously because I know that helps with NILs and that helps with promoting my own brand. And then obviously TikTok, I think I've grown a lot. I have like 75 on there.
Excellent.
Twitter's a little different. Twitter's kind of hard, and I don't really use Twitter as much. But no, I think I've done a great job of promoting my own brand. And I think during my sophomore year at UNC, before my sophomore year, after my freshman year, people had really high hopes for that sophomore year because I had a decent freshman year. So going into that sophomore year was when my brand really started to skyrocket.
Great.
I wanted to know, what brands would you be, are you open to working with in the future? You might as well go ahead and just put it out there if you want
to. But so working on a couple right now. But the one that I've been trying to get for years, I've been trying to land one with Snapple for a really long time because I'm a big Snapple drinker.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that I land that one. But no, there's going to be some cool projects coming out soon that I'm really excited for. And then today I released one with this new hair brand, which was pretty cool. And it was fun to work with them.
Love that. NIL. Ooh, I love it.
I had another question. Are you represented by someone, or are you and your father taking on the role of like reaching out to these companies? Because that's something else that Brittany and I talk about. You have some student athletes that are represented, and then you have some that aren't. And so we always talk about just balancing being a student athlete and then also like essentially running your business. So just wanted to get some more insight on how you handle doing both.
So for the most part, it's usually my father. We just signed a new contract with Rebrand from New York. So they've been helping me. Like they landed the texture one, and then we have another one coming out in a couple weeks, which I'm pretty excited for. But I mean, for the most part, most of them have reached out to me through like the brand that I've made. So like on Instagram, they'll reach out to me. And but yeah, other than that, it's mostly been just me and my father.
Excellent. I feel like you said what you hope to achieve in your remaining time in college. So we can kind of just finish up and wrap up. How do you plan to transition from college basketball to the next stage of your career? We know that you have obviously aspirations to play professionally. So what does that look like for you?
I mean, obviously I want to get into that draft. It's been my goal since I was a little girl, and to be able to achieve that would be something unimaginable. So obviously these 2 years, just putting in a lot of work and just making sure that I attain that goal. And then after college, hopefully I get the opportunity to be in that draft and be able to transition from college to the pros smoothly. So it's pretty much the only goal I have right now for after college.
Okay. Just
I love that.
I don't, I love that. She's super
focused.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no plan B. That's what it sounds like. Only a plan A. So I love that.
Fact. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
We love that focus, Paulina. And just kind of round it off, we want to know, have you been watching the WNBA this season, and like, who's your favorite team you've been watching? Who's your favorite player? Just some stuff like that. What's on your?
I think the WNBA has done a great job this year. I think women's basketball is getting to a high level, and I feel like the women that are playing right now in the league are doing a great job of representing women's sports right now. Obviously, I think the rookies are doing great. Caitlin and Angel, they're having great seasons. I know there's a lot of debate on who should be the rookie of the year, but I'm going to be excited to see when that comes out because I really don't know who they're going to give it to. But obviously, I'm a New York girl, so I really love the New York Liberty. I love watching Sabrina play. But I think sports-wise, the Olympics was probably the best 2 weeks of watching sports that I've watched in a while. The men's games were great. And then obviously the women winning gold, that was a great game that I thought France was going to win. I really did. But I was excited that you pulled it out.
Right, because if that streak would have got broke, it would have been talk of the town. Were there any sports that you watched during the Olympics that you knew nothing about? Because I was watching handball and water polo. I didn't know how hard water polo really was.
That's the sport I was going to say. Water polo, I didn't know that you couldn't hit the floor. So that is something that I can't even, like, I couldn't swim for that long. I would drown. Like, that is insane. So I was asking, I think it was the coaches, I was like, and they were like, no, you can't put your feet on the bottom. And I was like, wow, no, can't do it. But even gymnastics scares me because it's like the landings and the twisting in air. Like, that was insane. I think watching Simone and them was just insane. Like, she's amazing. So no, I was really sad when the Olympics ended because it was a great 2 weeks of just being able to watch sports all day.
It was. It was like our dream. Really.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'm curious, do you have a top 5?
A top 5 for
like the WNBA? Do you have a top 5?
Ooh.
Top 5 WNBA players of all time?
I would say I gotta put Caitlin in there. I think Caitlin's having a great year. So Caitlin. I think it's really hard. I think that the WNBA is great. I don't really know.
Okay.
I don't think I have a top 5.
That's
no
fair.
pressure because there's a lot of it's a lot of talent. So I'm not mad at that.
That's fair. Chanteé, do you have any lasting questions?
No, I mean, this has been great. And I think I can speak for Brittany and I when I say that it's just a pleasure having you here. Just super dope individual to talk to and super personable. So we just appreciate you taking time out this evening to talk to us about your journey.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much, Paulina. And I would just say that is our episode today for Beyond the 9450. We are wrapping it up with Paulina Paris. Please make sure you follow her. Okay, we don't want to hear y'all when she has her breakout year. We don't want to hear nothing that you're not following her. Okay, because we had it here first. All right, Paulina, please drop your socials and tell everybody where they can follow you at, please.
Instagram, I think, is just Paulina Paris. Other than that, I don't really know what my usernames are. But I think it's just Paulina Paris across all of the platforms.
Okay. Excellent. You heard her, Paulina Paris, across all the platforms. Please make sure you follow her. Also follow us 9450 on all social media platforms, as well as 21 Titles. And with that being said, we'll see y'all next week. Thank you, Paulina.
Thank you, guys.
Paulina.